Good morning and welcome to the channel. Today we are in a 2024 Tesla Model 3 Performance, hardware 4, FSD 13.2.2. And we are going to be taking a drive into Irving from Aubrey. It's still pretty early and kind of the holiday season still, so I'm not sure what kind of traffic we're going to see. Hopefully we'll see a little bit, but we're going to see a little kind of suburban driving. We're going to see some highway driving, and we're just going to kick back, relax, and see how the Tesla handles it this morning. It's dark out, so that's always an interesting test. We've got our destination programmed in here, and we are going to go ahead and press and hold the start FSD. So this is starting FSD from park. And as you can see here, I've kind of intentionally pinched it in here in a parallel park situation so that we can give it a fun little test to kick the day off. So we'll go ahead and get started here. And let's go. Let's hit the road. All right, didn't like how close we got to that. So it's gonna back up and take another shot, which I'm fine with. I think it could have made it. But hey, better safe than sorry. Now that's a little too... All right, here we go. All right, on the road. Very early, which I'm okay with again. And we're gonna go ahead and take it. Okay, good. Last night I was running the screen in dark mode, and I much prefer the lighter mode. It just looks cleaner. I like the transparency kind of feel in the upper right hand corner here of my navigation, so I can get a feel for where I'm going. But to be honest, I don't even feel like I need to see my map anymore. I really like this view. I like knowing what's around me, and then for the most part I just trust that Tesla's gonna get me where I told it to take me. So here we go. Now this is kind of a little bit of a rural road situation here. Briefly, we just came off of I've always wondered how Tesla would behave when there's no painted lines, and it handles it really well. So it's very capable of kind of seeing the edge of the road and making some adjustments based on what it's observing in that space. Here we have a little bit of construction, which is always fun because the maps are not always updated with the latest kind of road conditions and information. It didn't handle this here. So that was a little bit of a turn in the road. It's not painted well. Last night it handled it just fine. But this morning, if you saw, the road kind of went to the right. It did not follow that around to the right. So had there been another car coming, I would have needed to take control there. So it's interesting because it feels a little kind of slow this morning in comparison to some of the testing I did with it yesterday. It's not quite as responsive. We are in standard FSD, so not chill and not hurry. I do have the offset set to 40%, and the offset basically says, hey, I can go over the speed limit kind of based on the flow of traffic up to 40%. We also have 5 mph offset configured in the settings, which allows the Tesla on its own to go over the speed limit a little bit, which I think is fine. I like to drive about 5 mph over the speed limit. Interesting. So that car kind of pulled into our lane. They accelerated quickly, so it wasn't much of an issue, but the Tesla saw that and went over to kind of avoid it, just to get around it, and that car also came over at the same time. So what the Tesla did in that situation was it committed to the lane change and then slowed down to adjust to the vehicle driving slower in front of it, which I'm okay with that scenario. I don't expect it to, and wouldn't want it to rapidly bounce back and forth between lanes based on the variables around it, because people are unpredictable and they're going to do what they do. If you're wondering about FSD night driving as opposed to day driving, I will say that it does make more mistakes at night compared to day driving. The system's not perfect, so it's important that you are aware of your environment and ready to take control if you need to. With that being said, I have a very high level of trust in the technology. I feel very comfortable, but I do feel prepared to take over if I need to take over. No hesitation at all. That truck came out into the fast lane there. The Tesla seemed to recognize that he was going to commit to that lane, so it didn't slow down or swerve. It made some assumptions that that truck was going to stay in its lane, which was correct. So this red light was kind of around the bend there a little bit, and the Tesla did a fine job of picking that up and slowing down gracefully. So we have a yield here. Tesla checks, commits, and goes. It's interesting driving around in a Tesla. My muscle memory has still not caught up with Tesla. I find myself still looking, you know, at the dash in front of me for gauges and indicators. I also find that I still look at the mirrors, even though the video comes up here on the screen when the turn signals are activated, and it's clearer and better than the mirror. So I wonder how long it will take to kind of retrain some of that to use the mechanisms in the Tesla. So you can see here that it's doing 52 and a 45, even though I have the offset set to 5 miles per hour. So what's coming into play there is that it's recognizing the flow of traffic is moving faster, so it's allowing itself to exceed the 5 mile per hour offset. But then you see it drops back down a little bit when it lost sight of the traffic, so it can no longer make the determination that it was in the flow of traffic. Saw it came up and said, please pay attention to the road, and it flashed blue briefly, and that's because I was reading the information here on the bottom of the screen. So it does really like for you to have your eyes on the road. If you look away too long, it's going to let you know about it. I'm looking forward to when they relax that a little bit. So we have about 22 minutes left of the trip here, and we are hopping up on the highway, so now we'll get some freeway driving. Traffic is, I would say, light. Stayed in the lane nicely. Last night we were in the outside lane on 2 lanes turning left, and it incorrectly handled that situation. It went into the inside lane, so I was prepared to intervene there if necessary. So we have a yield to the ramp here, no traffic coming, so we're good to go. Here in just a moment we'll be merging onto the freeway. Notice we're doing 60 right now and a 55, which again, the configuration supports that, so that's good. We've got our left turn signal entering the ramp to the freeway. Turn it off pretty quickly. So we're clear here. The lane merges. We've already accelerated to 70. Working up to 75, which is the speed limit. If you drive in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you already know it's like the Autobahn around here. Regardless of what lane you're in, people are going to drive very fast. Speed limit's dropped down to 70. And I think I've got it, I'll have to check in the settings, I think I've got it maxed out at 75 miles per hour, so it might not go over that. Which, hey, I think I'm just cool with that, I'm okay with that. If I want to drive fast, I'd really rather have the wheel anyway. right, so one of my favorite things. In this lane here, we had slowed down to 64 miles per hour. And the Tesla says, no, thank you. Changes so that we can get back up to the speed limit. I'm used to adaptive cruise control, and it's funny because I'll find myself stuck. Like, I just don't even notice it. I've got the adaptive cruise control set, kind of cruising down the highway, especially on longer trips. And I'll look down and see that I'm doing 58 miles per hour behind some other vehicle. And the Tesla, that's not an issue. It's going to do what it can to maintain the parameters around the speed limit and how you have the system configured. So that's fantastic. We're going over one more because we were doing 68 behind this truck. Traffic behind us is not terrible. I do have somebody kind of coming up on me, so it'll be curious to see if the Tesla gets out of the way of cars that are fast approaching on the road. It does. It gets right back over to get out of the way of the traffic coming up behind me. That's fantastic. Fast on the right, fast on the left. Let them go. Have a good day. So you see that it's 76, which means that I was wrong earlier. I do not have it configured to limit at 75. And like I said, the traffic's light. Usually this time of day, it would be quite a bit heavier. So I might record one of those scenarios just to show how the Tesla handles kind of those rush hour situations going into the Dallas area.